Hey guys, welcome to Thorough Capping. It's Dave. It's August 11th, and I'm going to do a analysis on tonight's Delmar card beginning at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Race 1 was the card started out with a 2-year-old maiden claiming race, $100,000 maiden claiming, as close as you can get to a maiden special weight. We do have a few horses dropping from maiden special weight, but there just wasn't enough on here for me to be able to really do anything with the card. There were a couple horses coming off of one race. I could have ran the pace lines on them, but at the same time, it's just an overwhelming amount of first-time starters as well. And it could be a race where there's only 7 horses. So I mean, if you're going to play a multi-wager, a pick 5 beginning in the first race, I mean, you could maybe hand pick a few of these horses out, like the 2 horses, the 9-5 favorite. You maybe throw him on the card with somebody else that's showing some sort of workout pattern that you like or whatever. Or maybe the 6 horse coming off his second race. 21% positive ROI jockey-wise. 2-6 maybe would be a play in the first leg of a pick 5. But we kick off with the second race. The second race is a mile on the dirt. This was a tricky card to handicap. I started it last night, and I did it about probably 2 races last night, about a half an hour, and then I moved on to today. Continued today with a kind of fresh set of eyes. Race number 2. There's a horse here that's very, very interesting. I mean, I don't have him included in my top 4 simply because I use the ratings to rank them on here on the videos. But at the same time, I want you to take a look at this 3 horse. And I'm going to tell you what I'm seeing in this 3. Majority of the public will look at this horse and toss this horse out right away. All right, forget about the yellow. Forget about my highlighting right now. Just take a look at what's going on here. Okay, here, 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 and here. Take a look at the odds here, 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 and here. Okay, but then when you analyze the rest of the race, there is no horse, at least in the running lines that you can see, other than this 3 horse, who has gone out and got the lead. I mean, this horse is content sitting right off the pace. I mean, he very well could inherit the lead today. Here, none. Okay, the closest we came here was a 5.5 furlong race. I mean, he was in the lead at the 1.25, but at the same time, when you look at the route races, 2-turn races, he's not. And then the 8 horse, who's the heavy morning line favorite, I should say. So this 3 horse is the only horse that has been on the lead. Okay, looks like, I don't know if he inherited the lead that race. I didn't watch the race. I didn't watch the replay. But he's been on the lead, and he's taken a pretty significant drop in class here. He's going from an optional claimer, 40,000, where he's running with horses that had the option to be tagged or not be tagged at 40,000. He's dropping into straight claimers today for 20,000. And the other thing is this one race here, which wasn't bad up until the stretch call, was surrounded by 2 turf marathon races and 1 race last out on the turf at Delmar where he had a bad start. Okay, he was brushed at the start, which means if this horse is a horse that looks for the lead, this comment here is going to really, really put a damper on his ability to get the lead. As you can see, he just ran a clunker that time out. Now today he's back on the dirt again, and he is dropping 2 levels. Actually, he's dropping 2 levels to the 20,000, and he's morning line 20-1. So this could be a potential nothing, or it could be a potential gate the wire at a huge price, or even finish in the money and just blow up the exotics in one way or another. So that is a horse, even though I do not have him on my top 4 here, I'm certainly going to just put my wager in ahead of time on him, a win wager, and make sure that when the time comes, I'm mixing him in my exotics as well. Okay, but 6, 1, 8, 4 are my plays in race 1. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time looking at value over here today. You guys can see it on your own. I'm going to try to cut the videos down a little bit. And also, my number of videos that I do analyzing race cards may drop a little bit. I mean, because I'm seeing like a little bit of a taper off of members as far as in the Discord. And just a taper off of just overall just members of the thorough capping members. So what I'm getting at is I think I'm going to spend more of my time just doing some videos every now and then on certain factors and deviations and variations I would do, and speak to the current audience of members who do hold the thorough capping tutorial right now in hand and are trying to learn. Like, we have people in the Discord that are starting to ask a lot of questions, comparing results with mine, comparing their charts with mine, and so on. If I start seeing some new members coming, what I'll do is I'll start putting on some more videos as well that deal with analyzing the race cards. That way you can compare yours to mine. But I want to shift gears a little bit to some of the deviations. I'm going to talk about one of them today at the end of this video here, at the end of this analysis. Delmar 3. I like the 9163 here, okay? We have the 10 isn't also eligible. I don't know if the 10 will get in. The 10 is, I think, the morning line favorite, or close to it, maybe a 3-1, along with this one horse, 3-1. But he doesn't show enough for me to put him in here. The 9 horse, 5-1 morning line is the standout in both. He's a target ability and both in rating as well. And I have a 9163 in race 3. Okay, race 4. Race 4. Here's an interesting situation here. We got the 5 horse dominating the matrix. Okay. And he's top TC rating. He's 15-1 on the morning line. And here's why. He is coming from Sunland Park. All right. Sunland Park in Arizona. Before that, he was in Zia Park, which I think might be in Arizona too. I'm not even sure. I mean, just B-level tracks. But at the same time, if you look at his last 2 races, okay, he broke his maiden at Sunland, 12-5. It's not like he's making a huge jump into an allowance race here or anything. Wired to field, okay, won by 6.5. Came out, won a respectable race, again, 35,000 allowance at Sunland Park. I don't know, condition-wise, how that compares to an optional claimer 20,000 at Delmar. Okay, based on the pars and just based on where these other horses. But none of these other horses are really coming out of anything other than today's level. Okay, actually today's level is, yeah, there's a couple of class droppers in this race. But he puts up the numbers to really blow up my grid. And at the same time, if you look at the Brisnet numbers here, which are supposed to be transferable from track to track, race to race, and so on. I mean, he's got a 94 E1, 106 E2, a 92 E1, 96 E2, and he's in the 80s here with the Briz numbers. So what I have to do is I have to put this aside over here, and I have to look at this 15-1 and say this horse is a contender of mine. Because you look at the other ratings, 83, 83. Let's find a better horse. There's an 80. I mean, we have a 94 down here, 91. So there are some 90s in here. But at the same time, his pace ratings here, with the exception of the 2, kind of tell me that this horse, could contend in this race, despite the fact coming from Sunland. Now, back as a 3-year-old, he ran at, Delmar once on the turf and ran evenly, but nothing special. And he ran at Santa Anita way back when in his first race and just kind of spit the bit in that race. So, but I'm not going back that far anyway. I'm looking at current recent form, and I'm saying 15-1. This is what my grid's telling me. Once again, could be nothing. But at the same time, I have him as my 3rd play. Okay, I have my 3rd play. And I let this whole thing here that I just talked about kind of sway me a little bit. I mean, at very least, he should be my second play. But at the same time, again, the ranking order really doesn't matter. I have the 1 ranked as my top play here. But I have a 1, 2, 5, 8. But again, keep an eye on that horse there. The 5 horse in race 4 at Delmar. Okay, race 5 was a 2-year-old. Pretty much 80% first-time starters. I went to race 6. Now, race 6, I had to run the pace figures on the 6. Because there's the 5th. We just had a lot of horses. This is a 5.5 furlong on the main track. And we just had too many horses coming off of 5 furlong races. We had one coming off of 1 race. It was a 4.5 furlong. 5 furlong solo race here. 5 furlong. And I just thought the pace grids would probably be a better route than trying to run target and ability off of 4.5 furlong races. And not even be able to get an ability off of the 5, nor the 6, nor the 7, because we only have 1 race to look at. So what I did was I ran the pace grids on them. And I favored the early speed and Factor X, being that it was a sprint race. And sure enough, it pointed me in the direction of 2 long shots. All right, 15-1 morning line and 12-1 morning line. The 2 horse is the 2-1 morning line favorite. I do have him in there as 4th. And again, I just based it on the velocity here. And I really did. There were only 3 qualitative notes in that race, and there was 2 of them were stretch moves, 2 into 3, and then trainer move on the 4, or trainer rating on the 4. But again, I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time. 7, 8, 1, 2. I'm going to put some win money on the 7 and the 8. Hope something happens. Maybe play an exacta 7, 8 over 1, 2, 7, 8, and see where we get from there. I'm not sure I will be playing any. I'm not going to be playing any pick 4s today, because both of them are disrupted by a 2-year-old maiden special weight race. Like the pick 4 begins in race 2. We have 2, 3, 4, and then we have that 5th race. Unless I just go and pick 5, 6 horses from that race and throw them in with a couple singles here and there. I don't know. I don't want to balloon my tickets up. Race number 7. Race number 7, I have 4, 2, 8, 3. Here's another question mark. Now I'm going to show you. The question mark is on an 8, 5-2 favorite, but I'm going to show you why I have that mark there. I mentioned in the video yesterday, when you're dealing with 6.5 furlong race at Santa Anita with the asterisk. You see the little asterisk there? That means they were on the downhill turf course. The downhill turf course, they fly. Okay, they fly. It's a straightaway, and if anyone's ever seen it, you know, they got gravity helping them out because they're going downhill. And this figure here that we use to draw our target and abilities from are always just bloated. Okay? We use a 108 as a standard. We have a 1062 here and a 107. And what would happen is that would just balloon these ratings up. I didn't even have to do this simply because looking at this with my eyes, I knew he would be tops on the grid. So I figured, you know what, I'm just going to throw him in my mix. I have him mixed in 3rd. And I'm going to stay loyal to my horses that figure out of my grid. I mean, I didn't even finish the grid here. I have a 4, 2, 8, 3. 4 being my top play, 2 being my second. And then I threw the 8 in there at 3rd. Okay. How I play that race, if I play that race, I'm not sure. I mean, we'll see. This horse may be very well 8-5. If he is 8-5, I'm obviously going to be looking to beat him. And then finally, the finale, I have a 7, 9, 4, 5. And here's another situation where I almost threw the 6 in there, even though the 6 is a 74.6. But I look over here and I saw, okay, 3 top point getters. And if you look and see, well, what's bringing this TC rating down? Right here. Okay, and the reason why is because this 6 horse was an exceeder. He only has 1 race in 2023. And it was a good one. Okay. But before that, we're looking at Golden Gate on the all-weather. And the best I could pull was a 25, 29, 71. And then when I subtract my 3 points from artificial to the main, I get a 68. So based on our theory, the exceeding theory, this 81 must go down to a 68. The target bridge stays where it's at based on the 81 and the 79. So that's why his TV column is tops. Okay, and then the speed cube, I averaged these last two, the 75 and the 79, and I got the 77. Okay, but at the same time, again, the 79 is his highest rating, you know, in his lifetime. So again, is this a horse that's going to bounce? Was this an exceeding race? Is he going to come out and throw in a little bit of a clunker? I don't know, but at the same time, it wasn't worthy of me putting him toward the top here simply because of showing up here. Because I just explained why he's showing up here, here, and here. But yet, at the same time, his rating is not where it needs to be based on my standards here. So I'm going 7, 9, 4, 5. And if anything, if I play a deeper exotic like a Tri or a Superfecta, the 6 is going to be in there. Okay, but I'm not going to use the 6 on top. I'm going to see if I can beat him. All right, so now here's the one thing I wanted to go. I got a few questions through email the last couple weeks, and they were mainly the same questions. I think I might have answered this before, but the question was, what do you do for target and ability ratings off of 5.5 and 5 furlong races? So I'm going to find one right now, and I'll show you quickly how I do that. Okay, I'm just going to use this horse right here. Let's say today's race is 5.5 furlongs, and I wanted to get an ability rating off of this 5.5 furlong race. For a 5.5 furlong race, I use a 102 as a standard. So the raw fraction would be 4 ticks off. He was in the lead, so that would be a 96. All right, for 5 furlong races, I use a 56 as the standard. So this would be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. This would be an 87. 13 from 100. Now, here's the thing. If today's race is, let's say today's race is a 5 furlong race. All right, and that's all we're worried about. As far as over here, we're worried about as close to possible to 5 furlongs. We're not worried about 6 furlongs. So what I'm doing here is, and again, the example is if today was a 5 furlong race, I would use the 58-1 with the 5 furlong time. I'm not going to draw a target off a 111 because this race doesn't even go that far today. Today is a 5 furlong. I'm going to use the 56, and I would get 11 there. And then the closest call to 5 furlongs would be the stretch. I would use the stretch call, and I'd go 10, 11, 12, disregard the half. This would be an 88. And in my PPs ahead of time, I would toss out that last call because it's not part of today's distance. So that would be an 88 there for a 5 furlong race. But keep in mind, what you do for one horse, you got to do for every horse. Okay, if you give the liberty of using a 5 furlong for one horse, then you know what? You find a recent race where you could pull a 5 furlong off the next horse, or else your numbers are going to be off. Okay, if it's a 5 furlong race, or I'm sorry, if it's a 5.5 furlong race, and I hope you're you're following along what I'm saying here. If today is a 5.5 furlong race, and you got 3 horses in that race that the best you can get numbers from are 5 furlong races, the rest of the horses in that race, you got to pull your numbers from those 5 furlongs too for your targets. Or else you're going to get bloated numbers for the horses that you use the 5 furlong call on, and you're going to get your numbers going to be a little bit lower for the 5.5 furlong. Okay, so if you're able to pull from today's distance with every horse, that's the best case scenario. You do that. If you can't, then you got to do the same with the rest of the horses if you want to kind of even the playing field. If you know what I'm saying. All right. If I'm unclear here, shoot me an email. Go into Discord, ask me to clarify a little bit more, and I'd be able to take my time a little more rather than make a video longer than it should be. All right, so Uh, Later on, I'll recap sometime tonight, see how we do. And thanks for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.